Yo, I shatter dreams like Jordan, assault and batter your team. Your squadron will be barred from rap like Adam and Eve from the garden. I'm carving my initials on your forehead, so every night before bed you see the BP shut off the forehead. Reverse that, I curse out the first whack, nigga with the worst rap, cause he ain't worth jack. Hit him with 1,000.
Okay, let's get a slight closer look at the three IEMs that are going to be in this video. The first one will be the DUNU SA6. This is a set that is very beautiful. It's got wood face plates. It comes with a nice cable that has adapters for 3.5, 4.4, and 2.5, I believe, included. The stock cable for, sadly, on the right side doesn't work, and if I lift it like this, it does. But aside from that, the build quality is very nice. You take the tip off, and you've got, it looks like 3 nozzles from here. You've got a tuning switch, so you can adjust the tuning very slightly. So you've got that as an option. So it looks nice, it's built nice, it comes in a decent package. It comes with a good cable. Mine didn't work, but that was mine. It doesn't seem to be an issue that other people are having. Next one up is the RSV5. This is a 5 balance armature set. The DUNU was a 6. This is black with gold inlaid underneath. It's very much like the Unique Melody Mark II and that part of the design. It's only on the cap of the shells. The body of it is actually black. It also looks like the TRI Starlight. It's a 2-pin. The DUNU is also a 2-pin. This doesn't have any switch adjustments. Again, this is 5 balanced armatures. This is the most expensive of the set. It looks quite nice. Body is probably a little bit meatier than. It's actually not that different, actually. Slightly bigger than the DUNU. Not radically different, though. So that's the RSV5. And the last one would be the Lokahi, which is 7 balance armature. It's actually the smallest of the IEMs. Pretty much. It's a little bit smaller, but it's got the most BAs inside of it. This is also the most affordable, and it's my personal favorite, but I'll get into that in the video. If you don't proceed any further, I think that the RSV5 is a good set. I think it's pretty much typical Harman tuning. I find that to be a little bit too early of a roll-off, and the treble lacks a little bit of air, and the bass is a little bit too short. The DUNU is similar to this, with a little bit more treble to the ear. I don't know if the graph necessarily reflects that, and this actually does bass the way that I like, with a balanced armature, and also it's got great extension. That's really, in its price range, probably one of the best. So that's the close-up portion. I'll go ahead and attach this to the video, and we'll get proceeding. Okay, it's a quick video. This is going to be a fun one, actually, because nothing's getting. These are all good sets, but they demonstrate the value of a graph and what this area right here, the mid bass, might tell you. Because I got experience with the ThieAudio Monarch and Clairvoyance, because they were 2 drivers I got at the same time, and they immediately brought something up that I'd not ever noticed, because I hadn't done that comparison of 2 things with that variable that was different and obvious, and how it was impacting the very first song that I listened to, which is Black Sabbath Sweet Leaf, which has got a lot of drum and bass play, and there's a lot of very fast bass play at a certain point. Again, 2 minutes 37 seconds if you're following this, and then to about 3:20 really. It's really peaking at about 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The bass pulls and release are very fast. Like the Monarch and the Clairvoyance, the difference was with the bass guitar, the chords E, A, D, G, and also the kick drum were not quite, they seemed blunted, somewhat muted, not wrong, but in that sense wrong. And another reviewer that recommended the Monarch highly noted that an impedance adapter might be warranted if you were listening to that genre, because I think his ears could pick that up too. And a lot of people did that and were quite happy. It's a very popular set. I like it a lot. I like the Clairvoyance more because it just meets my tuning more naturally. And one of the main differences between the two exists right here, and that is the area that affects the replay of the bass guitar and also the kick drum. There's other things too, but those are most notable with this user's library. These 3 sets demonstrate the same thing. One is stepping out in the mid bass, and the other 2 are very tight. They're very much the same as the Monarch, but in the BA form. So when you listen to the mids on all of these are done differently, but they're all fine. And the extension of the treble for the Lokahi is beyond the other two, but none of these are really rolled off in that sense. Not even the RSV5, which is closest to the Harman target, is it actually rolling off. There's a sense of completion to certain things. It doesn't quite have the stage or the sense of air, but it's not really killing cymbals or anything like that. So it's a good set. It's priced more by $150 than the SA6. It's probably the hardest hurdle that it's got to get over. But fans of the SA6 are going to be fans of the RSV5. I'm very sure. It's a great set. It's the prices thing, but people are brand loyal and they want to try new stuff. So if you listen to, let's say, Big Boy, let's say any hip hop, let's say 50 Cent, Tupac, any of the stuff that you're seeing right here, you're not really going to notice too much of a difference between the three. They all do decently, but they're not quite doing what a dynamic driver would do, that visceral sense of impact that you get from a little dynamic driver. This has got 3 hits that are notable that I use for headphones and everything else. There's not much difference there. I tried to find it, but it's not so obvious when you've got deck mixed electronic hits that are mostly around 70 hertz and below. There's not anything there. This album right here, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, and the track in specific is called Sweet Leaf. It's the first track. Again, from 2 minutes 37 seconds to make this easy, it's like a cheat sheet, to about 3:20. The bass gets, the pulls get really fast, and the life of them is unnaturally replayed in the same sense as the Monarch. So that would be the ding to the RSV5, and to some extent the DUNU SA6 as well. These are not sets that are maybe aimed at the same audience as me. I usually rec hybrids and stuff like that. I rec the Lokahi because it's got that elevated mid bass, which I think is kind of a compensation curve because it's not a dynamic driver. It is a balance armature. You're not going to get the same sense of slam, but with the elevation you can imitate it to a point that still feels like the same thing to the brain, but it's not going to impact the mid frequencies because there's actual physical drivers taking care of those other frequencies. And sometimes a dynamic driver won't even be able to. A dynamic driver is taking care of the bass, and then you've got mids taken care of by BA, but the bass is overtuned, and you can't hear the mids over the bass, even though the mids are actually playing and playing well, and the crossover is done correctly. You can't hear over the din of it. None of these actually do that. And the Audio Lokahi, it's a BA, so it finishes its life accurately, but it doesn't get in the way of the mid presentation with vocals with something like Fleetwood Mac, where you've got Christy McVie, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, Meek Fleetwood. Sometimes they're all singing. Sometimes 2 are doing main vocals, 2 are doing chorus. Sometimes 1 is doing main vocals, 3 are doing a chorus. That's a great thing for hearing whether or not vocals are back. You notice this little dip with the DUNU SA6? It's not really that audible when you're listening to Fleetwood Mac Rumors album because the gain, this is our amplitude scale, and the gain relative to that mid dip right there is actually in dB not so different, maybe not as much as the Softears RSV5. So that's why I said these profiles right here, mid, upper mids, they're different, but none of them are bad. The difference between these 3 sets is audible a little bit here, but that's electric guitar solos, cymbals a little bit, and a sense of stage that's a little bit larger, just that psychoacoustic illusion. It's right here where the difference is, and it is for bass guitar and for kick drums, and drum play to a certain extent sounds a little more lively with the elevated mid bass. So I was going to do like a full-on review of the 3, but this is a comparison of how frequency graphs can tell you stuff. When you see something and it's got, let's say Crinical's, he's got a lot of stuff on his graph tool. Take a set that you know and you like the bass replay, and if you put it next to another set that you're interested in getting and you see a difference like this, or you see it right here, take into consideration that if your library is rock and roll, or you've got rock and roll, or there's a lot of bass guitar or kick drums or drums in general, you're gonna notice a difference, and it might sound less authentic. There might sound like a blunting or a muting somewhat of the bass guitar or of the drums if you use his graph tool and you see something that is different here. Maybe it's everywhere else it's fine, but there is a notable difference. Be aware, because it's clear with these 3 sets. So instead of doing a full-on review, I won't. This is just a good example of graphs can't tell you how something is going to sound, but they do actually sometimes, because this is literally telling you that a bass guitar and a kick drum is going to be replayed in a different manner. And for a rock and roll enthusiast that listens to rock and roll, or a person that plays drums or plays bass guitar, you'll know it right away. Other people that did the reviews for the Monarch and the Clairvoyance noted that difference, and the variable for the low frequency was right there. It was right in the same spot. It became an educational tool for everybody. If they weren't 100% sure before that, they were then, because they got those 2 sets maybe at the same time, because they're called the twins. And in the low frequency, the biggest difference was the sub-bass focus on the Monarch, mid-bass more focused on the Clairvoyance. And how does that play out? And I gave examples because I went first, and then people were like, really? Yeah, he's right, that's true, but that doesn't bother me in my library. Or I got the impedance adapter, or I don't even need it, I'm fine with that. That's not a big deal to me. It depends on your level of OCD, I suppose, or expectation of accuracy. In the low frequency, tight mid-bass might take away a little bit of the authenticity for those 2 instruments, and that's the value of this video, instead of promoting one thing or the other. The one that I would be promoting of these 3 would be the Lokahi, but I'm telling you right up front, there are 60 people waiting. Why would you get in a line that's got 60 people in it for anything? So I'm not even pushing anything. I think it's the best, and it's by far the cheapest, but I'm not getting in a line with 60 people. Fuck no. I might be in a line with 60 people for the Jolene, I just don't know it because I can't see a Google spreadsheet. But if I did and I saw it and I was number 60 and I was thinking and calculating, I think I'd be like, I'm out. So nothing's being hyped here. Just looking at this and telling you it's real, and there's a difference. And how do you catch that? What are people talking about when they're talking about? I'm telling you that spot and 2 instruments on this track is very obvious. And also on Sultans of Swing, you can pick it up. And please do not go by the Violent Femmes. Learn. It's fun to learn. It's fun to confirm what you learned. I confirm what I learned with dynamic drivers, with the Monarch and the Clairvoyance. With BAs, they do the same thing. Playing with the mid-bass a little bit too much with balanced armatures, like dynamic drivers, is going to maybe impact a couple things. Be aware of that. And if somebody says that in the future, I back that up 100%. It comes down to taste and library. That's again why music is the context, because this might have no impact on your desire to buy one thing or the other. But if you are into rock and roll, I'm talking to you. This is something you should consider. All of them are great sets, but they're maybe designed for people that are holding different libraries in their portable device or in their computers. That's it. I'm out. Next review is probably going to be a headphone, and then I'm going to probably do the Belon Mini, so thank you guys for your patience. I got to get confirmation about the Belon Mini. I want to be sure, you know. I don't want people coming in my comment section saying, I thought you said that was... No, wait. I'm checking. And I'm out.
Standing on the corner selling cocaine, the ripping shows live on stage with hoes yelling my name. To be precise, ripping mics is the light of my life. You frontin' like you trifle, never pulled the heist.